What's up, friends? My name's Georgie. I'm a breathwork specialist and performance coach, helping people gain core confidence through the power of the breath. It is a pleasure, as always, to have you listening in to the Just Breathe podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be talking all things breathing, helping to empower you guys to use the power of your breath to harness your bodies. So I really wanted to bring this guest onto the show today because she is quite literally waving the flag with all her might for a topic she is so incredibly passionate about, and one that deserves so much more vocalization, especially given the events of the last 2 years. Cassie Swift is the founder and organizer of the Children's Mental Health Matters Summit, an online summit helping both parents and children grow and become educated and knowledgeable around their own well-being. Cassie is also a children's life coach. Her coaching company is called True You. And the Children's Mental Health Summit is really all about helping to build a better connection between parents and their children, helping parents to understand what needs to be done about children's mental health and how to start to deal with difficult issues, and how to reach out, how to ask for help, and little things that could act as preventatives. Cassie spoke to me about the fun and curious way that the summit was started, how it kind of landed on her lap, and once that ball was rolling, it kept going, and in a very short time she had over 50 speakers speaking about all sorts of things such as resilience, eating disorders, gender stereotypes and their impact on childhood, the foundations of emotional regulation, coping with exam stress and anxiety, trauma, how to help to deal with things like self-harm and tantrums, sibling rivalry, all sorts of things. I'm just looking at this list here and it goes on and on and on. This summit is really covering everything, every question that you would possibly have to ask about children's mental health. And I have the great privilege to say I am speaking at this summit. My talk will be directed towards teens. I'll be talking on the subject of periods, that first period, also known as menarche, and the build up to that, what it all means and what that transition means, and how both parents and the teen going through it can understand what's going on within their own body to be able to use it as something to be proud of, a tool that is empowering and inspiring to others, and not a taboo subject that is dirty or shameful in any way. It is time to crush the taboo around periods, and I hope I can begin to do that with teens by speaking at this summit. So I really hope you enjoy the conversation with Cassie. If you haven't already, please do head to Children's Mental Health Matters Summit.co.uk and grab your ticket. It's an online event. It is only £7 to tune into the entire summit, and you will receive the replays as well. It's a total no-brainer. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we dive right into the conversation today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Just Breathe podcast. Let's keep on building that strong breathing community. Let's keep inspiring people, young, old, whoever you are. The breath is the most universal language on the planet. So let's keep connecting. Let's keep taking that journey from the head to the heart. It's only 2.5 inches or so, right? But the longest journey any of us will ever take. And the breath truly is the key to that door. Without further ado, let's dive right into today's conversation. It is a powerful one and such a beautiful summit that I'm so honored to be a part of. This is episode 55 of Just Breathe with Cassie Swift. Hiya, Cassie. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So welcome. Thanks for coming on. I'm excited to be speaking at your amazing summit and just want to help to spread the word about it because it's so important. Children and mental health, and especially given the last 2 years, it's such a huge topic right now. I mean, mental health in general is. I'd love to hear a little bit about how the summit came about, what, your involvement in it is, etc. And I'm sure we'll go off on a million tangents from there. But take it away. What is this amazing summit about?
So this summit it's been organised by myself in 2 weeks, and it started from one Facebook post. So you never know who is actually looking.
Wow.
So I have a children's mental health Facebook group, and I thought, well, this year I normally go in and speak during Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. And I thought, I'll ask if there's anybody who wants to come into my group just throughout the week. Put the post out on the Saturday afternoon and was just overrun with people that wanted to speak. So it all just went a little bit crazy. And I was like, right, how am I going to do this? And it was like, okay, let's just start a summit. So we now have 51 speakers over 10 days, 5 speakers a day, with a bonus meditation session on Monday the 14th. And I've just opened the Facebook group today so as people can start getting to know one another before we start on Monday. But wow. It took me by surprise. That's why it's been literally from the Facebook post to here is 2 weeks, and it's just a bit
zero to hero. Yeah, literally. I mean, what made you start the Facebook group in the first place? Of course, everyone knows children's mental health is so important, but I suppose it does illuminate how maybe it's such a small percentage of us that are actually taking action, probably because people feel quite overwhelmed in terms of how to take action, don't they, in something so fragile. So kind of what propelled you to start the group?
So I started the original Facebook group, my group, must be about 4 years ago now. And it was just, as a teenager, my sort of history of everything and bullying and whatever. And I've always been really passionate about trying not to let other children go through that. And nothing was being done. So I was like, right, let's start a Facebook group. And again, that went from I've got 800 people in there, but that happened organically within 6 months. So it shows that there are people that want to do something, but I think a lot of people just don't know where to turn, because when you say children's mental health, the first reaction you get is, well, CAMHS don't do anything. And it's about letting people know that there are other people out there. And for there to be 51 of us within 24 hours wanting to talk, and I've already got a waiting list for next year, shows that there are people out there that do genuinely want to help and help raise awareness and make people realize that something needs to be done. Right.
Yeah, and actually that children shouldn't be cast aside, because adults' mental health, of course, is taken so seriously, but with children, children tend to be quite dramatic anyway, and quite big and playful, some of them, of course. And maybe that's part of why people haven't taken action, in terms of that it's the signs, I suppose, must differentiate from an adult, or do they not? I'm not sure. What's your take on that?
I mean, obviously, from the pandemic, especially, what I noticed, and a few other people in the field, were that the younger children were lashing out more. Right. So, which is the frustration coming out, whereas the teenagers went into themselves. They integrated more, because obviously their society shows that teenagers don't normally kick off. They have to be quiet. And there are some similarities, but a lot of, whereas it's interpreted different in adults, because obviously if an adult has a screaming fit, like a tantrum, it's like, oh my gosh, what can we do to help? However, if a child has a tantrum, it's like, just stop making a fuss, stop being dramatic,
stop making a fuss. This is what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. And that's what they're told. So then the unconscious is like, right, I mustn't make a fuss. And then that's why it gets worse as they get into their teenage years. I mean, things like self-harm are being seen in primary school, but it's just like, oh, they're attention seeking. And it's like, well, one, it shouldn't just be brushed off as attention seeking. And two, what are they, what is it that's behind it? What, instead of just ignoring it, what is behind that? I strongly believe that every behavior is a sign of an unmet need, and children can be punished as long as as much as you like, but unless you get to what the actual problem is, you're not going to get anywhere. If you're telling them to do homework and they genuinely don't understand, it's very similar. You tell them to get on with it or not be naughty, it's not going to go in, because what the actual problem is, it isn't being dealt with. It's just reiterating what they're feeling on the outside, like the tip of an iceberg, and then the behaviors just carry on.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, that phrase just popped into my mind: hurt people.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we should exclude children from that equation. And it's not to say that those children with mental health issues have bad parents at all. Every parent is doing the best they can, of course, but I do agree in listening to you that there is an ignorance there of that, attention seeking actually could be, or usually and always is, a child that needs a bit more attention, because there's something out of balance. And it's, how do we approach that? I'm even thinking of a wonderful article I read about a country, it may have been in Africa, where they was it Africa or Asia or something? They replaced meditation, or they replaced attention with meditation, sorry. And the results were staggering, absolutely staggering. I'm sure you're familiar with it. 70%, I'm making this up here, of course, I wish I had it in front of me, but generally, broadly speaking, it was something like 70% improvement, just from giving that child a safe space. And that's the thing there, isn't it? A safe space. As a breathwork coach, I know the body's only two questions when you really get to the nitty gritty is, am I safe or am I not? And if I'm not, I will scream and shout, or internally perhaps that may come out as self-harm, may come out as someone who's very withdrawn, or maybe very vocal and very parent, but that body will scream and shout until it is attended to, because as far as your nervous system goes, it's a life or death situation.
Totally.
Yeah. In terms of some of the speakers that you've got coming on, could you talk us through like what kind of, obviously, we can't be sat here all day if we go through all 50, but what kind of topics are we covering?
Gosh.
And I'm excited to speak there, obviously, and I'm going to be there talking about teenagers in the menstrual cycle, and all of saying everything I wish I was told at school, basically. So I was clueless till I was about 25 about my menstrual cycle, and actually how powerful and unshaming it is. It's actually a tool of great power. So how many, obviously 51 speakers, but who have we got coming on? What's the like highlights of the lineup?
Gosh, highlights. Wow. I mean, just when we had a Zoom call, just meeting people, they're just inspirational. I mean, we've got basically, I can't really think of anything that isn't being covered. So we've got things about how music can be a real benefit. We have got, as someone else doing about breathing, and how even breathing in your sleep, like 24-hour breathing, which I think is really important, because even children nowadays, where the schools are trying to, just off on a tangent, sorry, but where schools are trying to implement stuff, it's like, well, breathe. And, children are actually getting a really bad association now with just breathe, because they aren't being explained, it isn't being explained properly. It isn't making any difference to them. So, saying just
worse if they're just doing it, erratically, or
it's just a cycle of bad habits. And, you know, and I know Fleur, who's speaking about breath, will talk more about that. It's an amazing breathwork practitioner. There's so much with children. And I know Patrick McEwen, who created the Oxygen Advantage, which we're both instructors of, is really passionate about helping children, because breath affects, you know, myofascial development, and it affects sinuses, and it affects facial growth, which myofascial development, same thing, but, you know, fitness, concentration, energy levels, focus, everything it plays a part in. But the music sounds amazing. Is there anything in there about movement?
I think she will be covering that, a bit about that. We have got someone, when you say about movement, we've got a yoga teacher who is coming in. We've also got someone, an artist, coming in and doing a Zen doodle session, which is at 4 o'clock. I think she's doing it so as the children can see, because again, that can be something that's really helpful. We've got speakers talking about sibling rivalry, and how to approach that. Gosh, my mind's gone blank. We've got a hypnotherapist coming in, and focused hypnotherapy. We have got someone from, because we've got people from around the world, so we've got someone talking about like if parents have struggled, like not had the best upbringing and finding it hard to parent, how they can break that cycle of parenting to help them. We've got about blended families and step families and things like that. Sleep and how that works, like how you can get children, well, the effects of sleep, really. Gosh, what else have we got? There's just so much.
This is just a beautiful lineup anyway. Yes. It sounds like everything really is covered. That's so exciting.
Everything from children up. There's someone talking about how we can about food. So there's someone talking about eating disorders and the masks around that. There's someone also speaking about how we approach food when children are younger to try and avoid the disordered eating. I'm covering self-harm and signs to look out for, and the myth busting behind it, and the stigma that's attached to it. What else have we got?
I mean, that's an amazing lineup as it is, incredible. And, you know, such a variety. Obviously, you know, when we're talking about children, it has to be as much for the parents, I suppose, to be educated as it is for the children and teachers. How important do you think that is in terms of parents sort of letting their guard down? Because there's this whole thing, isn't there, where especially in the UK, I won't tell you how to parent. I'm not telling you how to be a parent, you know, because it's kind of a fragile thing, isn't it? But actually, sometimes people just want a bit of guidance and a bit of help. So how important is this summit for the parents?
I mean, it's huge. And, you know, I couldn't have even, my mind didn't even let me dream of creating something like this. But it just, people can come into a safe space and, you know, they can, there's no judgment on, you know, what they're going to be listening to, and there is just going to be something for everybody. And, you know, knowing that there is someone who can help them with their situation. I mean, there's 51 of us in there, and if we can't answer someone's question, I'm sure between the 51 of us we know somebody who can. So it's about that support and letting them know that they're not on their own, and that people do struggle with this stuff. And, you know, none of us are perfect. You know, I'm a kids and teens life coach. Doesn't mean that, you know, my kids are perfect and never have meltdowns or anything. You know, it's just parenting. So, and sometimes we do stuff that we don't even know could have, you know, an impact. But I mean, it's huge, and it will be beneficial to teachers, because it isn't just about that, because teachers, bless them, are in such a difficult situation. You know, it's like you're not doing enough for the kids' mental health, but the government have got such tight guidelines as to what they're supposed to be doing that it just isn't fair on them. So just by coming along and hearing some of these people can actually help them realize what is going on. And I mean, some of the others we got about exam stress and screen time and stuff. So just to give them a bit of an insight into that, I just feel it's just going to be so valuable to so many people. And I get a bit emotional talking about it, because it's just like, if someone had told me a fortnight ago that I would be doing this now, I probably would have just laughed at them.
Oh, I mean, that's beautiful. And I see behind you, helping children to safely spread their wings. It did kind of really resonate with me there, that it's almost like just giving children permission to be children again, and play. And just like, I do notice that with the rise of social media, as useful as it is, and it's been a blessing to me and my business and everything. But, I'm very thankful that I grew up without it, I must say, and that I didn't discover Instagram or Facebook till I was about 17, and so it didn't exist. And so I played outside and I saw my friends for real, or whatever, I rang them up and everything like that. And now, Snapchat and all the rest, and as great as it is during this pandemic for connecting people, it does make you wonder if it does drain connection sometimes more than it actually gains it.
Yeah, I think, obviously very thankful for technology, so as we have been able to keep in touch with people. But I think with the younger generation, especially teens with their hormones, who already find it difficult to socialize, it's like it's become that barrier, because a lot of people can say things behind a screen that they wouldn't say in person, and it seems to have sort of just made that bigger. It's some people are only communicating via technology now, and that is hard. But that is the generation we're in, and after the whole lockdown with having to do working online, trying to now get back to limiting screen time or monitoring it is so much harder, because that's how the kids have lived for 2 years. It's
and that could have been someone's most influential years. You think 5 to 7, I can imagine, is huge. They're a completely different little human between 5 and 7, so hugely impactful. And I do really feel for the children going through this pandemic, and only knowing people in masks. Of course that's going down now a bit, but I think this work is so important, and good on you for organizing it. I think it's incredible to just give children and parents and teachers that gift of information, and that's all really people want, isn't it? It's connection, information, and I think maybe you're right, maybe that's the source of it, to feel like you're not on your own.
Yeah, because I think especially with the pandemic, a lot of parents feel like they're not doing enough, or they're doing it wrong, and they don't have like the space, or as you say, especially in England, where they, it's like, well, you don't talk about struggling as a parent, because if you do, that's like, but I think just letting them know that there are people to help them, and there's no, coming to the summit, there's no expectation from them. People are just offering their wisdom and their knowledge to try and help people, to try and educate people. And I think that's the biggest thing. And as much as we're giving sort of the adults the space with we're not fixing them, we're just being there. It's so important, I feel, for adults not to feel they need to fix children, because sometimes children just need to have a rant. You don't have to fix it, you just have to listen. And I think that's one of the key things as well, is just being able to listen changes everything, really.
Yeah, maybe removing the judgment from it, that there's nothing wrong with your child, that there's nothing wrong with them, that maybe it's, emotion is energy in motion, isn't it? It moves, and it needs to move. And if you keep it's almost like putting a label on it, right? Oh God, she's got this or he's got that. It's almost, okay, you've now got a badge that says this is what's wrong with you. and actually just sort of saying, well, you know, if we can prevent that stage through just good compassion, empathy and understanding, then perhaps, you know, less and less will actually get to the point where they have to have that label and be treated, or God forbid a child on drugs just doesn't sound right to me, you know.
No, and it's, you know, as much, and I feel another thing, again going off on a tangent, but what I think it would be important for children to be taught about neurodiversity, because nobody is the same, and it's a shame that you have to get an actual label to be able to receive help. I mean, there's a couple of speakers talking about autism. We've got someone talking about ODD as well, but one of the people that are doing autism and ADHD refer to the children as star children, and I think that's really lovely to, you know, because it is like they have a label and then they live up to that label, and because that's what they're told. And as much as it's important for the child to understand the neurodiversity, it's also important for the other children to understand that not everyone's brain works the same, you know. And so, you know, it's like saying that everyone should be good at English, and if not, then you know, it's just acceptance, non-judgmental acceptance of people, and being kind and trying to understand and asking questions, because that's how you learn, is to ask questions, you know. And if you don't understand why someone's behaving in a way, then ask questions and find out, you know. So yeah.
Last question, Cassie. If someone is umming and ahhing about coming to the summit for whatever quintessentially British reason, what would you say to that? Well, I suppose it'd be more of a parent, or what would you say to that parent that's thinking, oh, I don't know, meditation, I don't know if that's going to be for me or my child, I don't do yoga, you know, what would you say to that parent?
I'd say there will be something you can see if you go to the web page there. You can see everybody's title, and you don't have to attend all of them, you know. There's no expectation, that's the thing. It's just coming and finding what you want. So if you're not into meditation and yoga, but you want to find more out about autism, then just turn up for that. And it's not like you're going to be in a room either for judgment. It's in a Facebook group, and it's going to be streamed via StreamYard. So you're not going to be, if you're worried about anything, it's not like it's an anonymous, you're just watching it, and I'm sure there will be something. And as I say, you don't have to come to everything. It will be difficult to, which I'm still trying to plan my next fortnight. But, you know, just have a look at what the speakers are doing. And, you know, it's such a low price that, you know, a couple of talks will cover that. But
yeah, absolutely. And just lastly, I'll put the link below in the show notes. So anyone listening, do just scroll down and click on it. But how people just go to a website, or they sign up via Facebook?
No, there's a website that the link, it's Children's Mental Health Matters Summit, and then on there you also have the sign up link, and then once you sign up, you will be directed to the Facebook group. And if you wanted to buy the recording, so if you're listening to this sort of and the event has finished, you can purchase the recordings of them afterwards as well. So
right,
it will all be there. But just, yeah, everything is in the website, and then that will direct you and show you where you need to go to.
Amazing. Oh, I can't wait to speak as well. It's going to be such a lovely event, and just so important as well. Amazing. Thank you for chatting, Cassie. It's such a pleasure to have you on, and just spread the word. You know, everyone should be buying a ticket to this summit, because it's just so important, and we just need to talk about it more, you know.
Yeah, and the tickets are only £7 if you're listening, so it's not like
£7. What is that?
Major, you know, as I say, it's a couple of lattes.
Couple of lattes for 51, you know, chunks of knowledge that could change someone's life.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Cassie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely. Thank you.